Right, how do we divide fractions? Well, division of fractions, what we're trying to do is make the question easier. Now, multiplying fractions is easier than dividing. So we're going to use a fact that we can change the question to a multiplication in order to make it easier. Now, if you can't do multiplying fractions, then there is another video available. Go and watch that one, please. So, how do we divide fractions? Well, let's start off by looking at a bigger question. What is 8 divided by 2? Well, we should all know that 8 divided by 2 is 4. What about 8 multiplied by a half? Or half of 8, which is another way of writing multiplication, half of 8 is also 4. So we can see that dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by a half. And 2 can be written as 2 over 1. We'll come back to that in a minute, because there's a little saying that we recommend you learn to help you remember this, but I'm just showing you why it works. What about 2? How many halves are there in 2? That's another way of saying division. How many halves are there in 2? Well, there's 2 halves in 1, so there's 4 halves in 2. What is 2 times by 2? That's also 4. So you can see that this question here and this question here, there are ways of getting the same answer by doing slightly different operations. Here we're dividing by 2, here we're multiplying by a half, here we're dividing by a half, and here we're multiplying by 2. They're equivalent. They are the same. 2 divided. Okay, so we can write that as 2 over 1. So what you can see is you can change this division into a multiplication by keeping the first number, changing the division to multiplication or times, and turning the 2 over 1 upside down, or flipping it, or finding the inverse or the reciprocal and writing it as 1 over 2. Same here, look, 2 divided by a half, keep the first one, change the division to a multiplication, and then turn the half upside down to get 2 over 1. And then 2 times by 2 is 4, and 1 times by 1 is 1, so you're left with 4. So from that general idea, we can get a rule that we recommend you learn. Now it's keep, change, flip. We keep the first fraction the same, we change the division to a multiplication, and we flip the second. We turn it upside down. It's just a quick way of learning. You can see you're finding the inverse or the reciprocal, but at the moment it's good enough to think of it as flipping. So 3/8 divided by 2/3. So let's do the keep. Keep the first one, change the division to a multiply, and flip the 3 over 2. 2 over 3 becomes 3 over 2. We flipped it upside down. And now we finish off the calculation. Now we know how to multiply. Multiplication's straightforward. Times the top 2 numbers together and the bottom 2 numbers together. And you always see if it cancels, and in this case it doesn't. So we'll go through one more example, and then we'll look at in another video how you do more complicated ones. So what about 4 divided by a third? Okay, we keep the first number but write it as a fraction, so that's 4. You leave it as 4 if you prefer. Change the division to multiply, change, and you flip. You're left with 4 3s and 12, and 1 times by 1 is 1, and 12 divided by 1 is simply 12. Okay, and always think, does that make sense? How many thirds are there in a 4? Well, it's 3 in 1, so there's going to be 12 in 4. Keep, change, flip, learn it, but try and understand where it comes from. If you still need help, come and see us or watch the video again.